I swear this is the last take I'm doing, and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm whispering because everybody's asleep in this house and it just sounds weird talking to myself. But anyway, this section is basically about the Gauls and their religious customs. So we start out with all the people of Gaul have been very devoted to religious ceremonies. So we have a little synthesis in the beginning with the subject, verb, subjective, natio est omnis dedita. And in this case, I had thought dedita would be a perfect passive participle, but it actually works with s to be a perfect passive verb, which is why you take it as have been very devoted. In the next line, and for this reason, then you supply those before qui. So, and for this reason, those who have been affected by more serious illnesses. And since sunt adfecti is a passive verb, that means the ablative clause that follows it is an ablative of agent. So for those who have been affected by more serious illnesses and who are engaged in battles, and dangers, which is ablative of place where, um, either sacrifice men as victims. So the out is beginning a correlative with the next out. Either sacrifice men as victims or vow that they themselves will sacrifice. Se immolatoris is an indirect statement, and when you supply esse, immolatoris is a future active infinitive. So vow that they themselves will sacrifice and use the Druids as priests. So administrus and druidibus are used as positives since they're in ablative phrases, and utuntur takes an ablative. So use the Druids as priests and for these sacrifices because, and this starts another indirect statement, they think that if the life of the man should not be returned for the life of the man, they would think that the divinity of the immortal gods is not able to be appeased. So, jumping back to nisi, that starts a future, less vivid conditional, since redatur is subjunctive, that means it would be a should would kind of translation, which is why it's if the life of the man should not be returned for the life of the man, they would think that the divinity of the immortal gods is not able to be appeased. And then starting with non posse, that's also an indirect statement. Numen is a subject accusative, and placare is a passive infinitive. So the last sentence is, and they have sacrifices having been established of the same kind publicly, with instituta being a perfect passive participle. So that's it for the translation, but in regards to the themes and how this passage relates to that, you could match it with views of non-Romans, because all these lines are Caesar talking about his observations of how the Gauls behave religiously and how they're into sacrifices. You could also relate it to humans and gods, because it just shows how devout and pious the Gauls are in respect to their gods.